This podcast will hopefully contain words or statements of obscene, pornographic, or immoral character. You have been warned. You have been warned.
Received dozens of emails from people that'll listen to the podcast. The podcast.
Wow,
The
it is
podcast.
pretty much.
All right, episode 51, I think, right?
Yep.
Oh, shit. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, I got a text. I'm on a group text with some old bandmate friends of mine out here. And every couple of the dudes live out of state now. And every couple of years we get together and go to a show together or something. So they sent out a flyer today of check this show out, and it's this thing called the Power Trip Festival, and it's it's in Indio, which is out near Palm Springs. It's where they do Coachella.
Okay.
So it's this Power Trip Festival. Friday night, Guns N' Roses and Iron Maiden. Saturday night, AC/DC and Ozzy Osbourne. Sunday night, Metallica and Tool. October 6th, 7th, and 8th. And my response back to this flyer was, Jesus Christ, tickets must only be $1,000, laughing emoji. And one of the friends responded, pit tickets. Guess how much pit tickets are?
Well, I'm already at 600. 850.
You're so not close at all.
In the wrong direction, $25.
Pit tickets start at $3,900.
What?
Yeah.
Is that through some scalping device?
No.
Or is that from the fucking dealer?
I think it's like,
Or vendor, sorry, for those of you being particular tonight.
And
this afternoon.
One of the friends checked into some of it already, and they said, already looked, and you also have to camp.
Well, that would be no problem for you.
Yeah.
But us high-class glamping types, that would be total horseshit. And the fact that I would not spend $3,900 to
that's kind of crazy.
Fucking people that'll need fucking wheelchairs and walkers to get out there and play for us anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a no can doer. Might I interest you in the whatever show that Tadios and I were talking about?
Yeah, so that show most likely much more affordable.
Yeah, it was $20.
Oh, is that it?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's like a pretty epic show. I have to look and see if we don't already have plans that weekend, because we do have
really.
Well, we have a lot of shows planned for the rest of the year that we're going to. So I just have to check and see if that's a weekend that we're already doing other show. But if not, I definitely think I might go check that out, because that seems like a fun day, and there's a lot of really cool bands playing that. It's like, what is it, like the Dark Wave Fest or something?
It is the Dark Waves, New Order, and Tears for Fears, which I like Tears for Fears. New Order, I don't remember. B-52, Echo the Bunnymen, Devo, Soft Cell. I mean, they could all play for 5 minutes apiece, and I'd still be happy. Yeah. Psychedelic Furs, Human League. But there's the sneaky punch you in the face ones that make me happy.
Okay.
TSOL kinda, but the 45 Grave getting slid in on this fucking bill makes me so fucking happy.
Yeah, like, I mean, it makes sense. And like he was saying, Christian Death being added would be awesome for that show too.
Yeah. So that, and I am not shitting you. I believe it was 1999 was the start at those tickets.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then Drab Majesty is also playing that show as well, which would be a big sell for me to go because
Yes, that is. I don't know what that is, but I defer to you.
Yeah, I think we talked about them before. They're just they're like I guess like the new wave of dark wave, I guess.
Nice.
But yeah, they're just like cool 80s synth goth depressing shit.
So it is sad that I think, or actually, I think that was a legitimate, like, we might want to go to that. Like, fuck it. We might be willing to fly there.
Wow.
And then Tadios giving us hand jobs on the way to go to Jerome makes it even more interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Speaking of Jerome again, Heather actually sent me a message this morning or a day or so ago, and she had mentioned that she had just drove past Jerome a few days ago, and she was actually driving through there when they were having that music fest that I was talking about that that my mom and I just missed. And we were there on like a normal day, and parking was horrendous. Like, we actually got there at like 8 a.m, so we were able to get a parking spot in town. But as the day progressed and people started moving in, like, there was no place to fucking park anywhere. And even like they have like pay parking lots and stuff. They were all full. So that was like a normal tourism day there. I can't imagine. That music fest just must have been fucked. There was probably people like parking and shuttling up there or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But would I want to go ghost hunt in a fucking mine cave? Yes.
Well, if you guys actually do come out for that show, I'll definitely go if you're going to go.
Well, you got to check your little schedule.
Yeah, I do.
Make sure that you have time for us.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a quick drive for us. So, I mean, that she doesn't know about this show yet because, like, I just saw that message from you guys like last night or whatever. So, we just need to kind of figure out if that's available. If it is, we'll definitely go because there's a lot of bands on there I would like to see, but honestly, that's probably more of a show she would be hyped on than me. Because I know that there's definitely like 3 or 4 bands on there that are some of her favorite bands. So, and we are going to see Depeche Mode in December, I think. So,
you might have your limit of synth pop.
Well, I was going to say, it's going to that show would be like a good warm up for Depeche Mode. So, yeah. And Huntington Beach, it's whatever. Like, I don't love Huntington Beach, but it's cool. I'll go to a show there.
I'm in. I've never been. So sure. The home of GT, once great bike place.
Nice. Well, so the other thing bring up while we're just shooting the shit, starting out. So today was the release of the new Jackass and the Trailer Parks album. And I sent it out to some people to evaluate, and I've been getting some feedback throughout the day, and it seems to be a hit so far with people.
I have already said that I would like the Craven Moorheads to cover the burrito song.
Oh, Don't Steal My Burrito.
Don't Steal My Burrito. That's right up. That is magical. And I think that song will need to be replacing Blow in the O, or at least Blow in the O, because that was kind of the lull in the set, and it was all agreed except for Matt, because Matt doesn't have time for us right now. But I think he's out mowing his grass.
Jesus. But yeah, I mean, all those songs are free form and open to other bands' interpretations. I guess we could steal the Don't Steal My Burrito song.
Fuck. I don't know how much I want to interpret it. Maybe juice it up with electric sounding guitars things.
Yeah, sure.
But besides that, I think the 58 Seconds of Fury is wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. That it's funny too, because one of the comments that I got on it was I was really happy that someone mentioned this because this I think I talked about this when I mentioned that I was working on this record like a few episodes back. But so one thing I was struggling with was to whether to make the songs like super stripped down with like just me playing like acoustic guitar and singing them with the suitcase drum, like kind of keeping it more in line with sort of what the first release was like, just me and a guitar basically. But once I ended up playing those drums when I was back visiting and I kept listening to the drum parts I recorded, I was like, I don't know, I think like I need to make these into kind of like more real songs. But what really took it over the edge was and Thaddeus had kind of he called this out and mentioned it, is that he loved all the melody, like the guitar melodies. And I was like, yeah, I was like, that was something I debated on whether to do that.
Like your fake steel guitar sounds?
Yeah, like to like juice the songs up with some more like country leads.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
And I don't know, I think it kind of really added to like boosting those songs to like a new level of just enjoyability, if that's even a word. But
I was going to say stupidity, but you could say enjoyability.
Yeah, I think that the songs in their raw form were still really cool, but the little parts that I added just kind of made it a whole new like listening experience.
There's nothing wrong with polishing turds to make them not look like turds or sound like turds. I think I actually fucking listened to it, and it was amazing because I knocked it out in the 8 minutes in between me texting you telling I was ready and making it upstairs.
Oh,
nice.
Knocked
them out.
Yeah, I mean,
I was a big fan of Karen, but Don't Steal My Burrito was screaming at Craven Moorhead's no, just a cover. It's kind of like Heartbreaker, but different.
Yeah, Trisha was saying that Karen is definitely like the hit or whatever. So on Bandcamp, you have to pick which song you want to be like the featured track or whatever. So that's the one I picked because I don't know. I do kind of feel like that one is maybe the most relatable if you're someone who, you know, fucks around on the internet and just sees Karen videos and like people flipping out in fucking stores and shit. So that was sort of a relatable song for most people. But yeah, so another thing I would like to say about that release, which is something I've never done before. And this was completely not scripted to happen this way, but it just kind of unfolded and is like one of those days. Everything about this project has been all about spontaneity and just no planning. And it's cool how I'm like really happy with how it turned out. I think it's actually maybe like one of the coolest musical things I've made in a long time. But all those songs were written in one afternoon back in like March. When I was back visiting in April, I had that access to that old vintage drum kit. So I was like, oh, well, fuck, this would be like the perfect drums to play these songs on. So I hadn't even played drums on any of those songs up until that day. Like I set those drums up at my grandmother's house and remembered how the songs went. So I was just like, well, I'm just going to play the beats that I think work. So none of that was pre-planned at all. So like I recorded all those drums on my phone in like 2 hours. And then when I brought them back here, because I was like, you know, they might sound like shit. I don't know. Like, so brought them back home, tweaked them with some EQ and fucked with them a little bit. I was like, I don't know. These sound pretty cool. I think these might be a good base to, you know, start with to make these songs. And then flash forward to the last 2 weeks, I've been every day, like working a little bit here and there. Like I spent a day doing some bass, another day doing guitars. So took a couple days off from working on it. And then yesterday I got up at like 8:00. I was kind of just starting my day. And I had in my head, I was going to get all the vocals finished yesterday. So got the vocals done and like most of those were all like one take. I did like maybe one or two of the songs. I did like 2-3 takes just to experiment with some stuff. but most of all those songs were one take. Got the vocals done about an hour and a half. And then it was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And I was just feeling motivated. So I was already getting some pretty decent sounds with everything. So I was like, fuck it. I think I can probably mix this and actually get it finished today. And I wasn't under any kind of pressure to do that. I was just like, fuck it. I'm already kind of like amped on getting it done.
I was going to say, was it more a time thing or just fucking amped? And you're like, I can get this done.
Yeah, I just want is getting the vocals on there and then like really hearing it come together. I got stoked to like want to finish mixing it. So I mixed it, mastered it, and I got everything done with that at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. Because I had already kind of been like messing with the mix a little bit as I was adding different tracks, like just kind of getting like a basic idea. So that was finished. And then I was like, fuck it. I already kind of had an idea of what I wanted the artwork to be for the cover, and I hadn't even started that yet. So I had in my head of like how I wanted the cover to be, and I just thought about like, okay, what do I need to do to like make this happen right now? So I went outside. This was at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. I got some food in my hand and got the chickens to follow me around. So I was like taking pictures of the chickens as I'm like walking with my camera, and the actual photos on the cover are like the exact position that all 3 of them were in when I took the photo. So the chicken in the middle is actually blown up a little bit, but the position of all 3 of them is exactly how I took the photo. So it was like, it couldn't have been planned any better, because I was like, I want to have me like running from like larger chickens is like what I wanted the cover to be. So I took the photo of my head where I'm screaming. And then, I just brought all that shit inside. And from like 5-ish to like 7:30, 8 o'clock, I like knocked that cover out. And I was just like, fuck, that's crazy. Like this, I've basically like essentially if I was like one of those dorks who films myself doing everything that I do, like yesterday would have been a perfect opportunity to make like a YouTube video of like, here's my day. Like I'm going to film me like doing vocals, mixing an album, and doing the artwork and releasing it like all in the same day.
Which would have been awesome.
Yeah, but that's like not shit I'm ever going to do. But like there's cooler people that do that shit, and it's like a video that thousands of people watch.
Well, wait, whoa. Are they really cooler?
I mean, they're doing it, and I'm not, so that makes them cooler, I'm assuming.
I don't know about that, but
anyway, so yeah, and then I uploaded everything this morning when I got up, and it felt good to get it finished, because when I first wrote those songs that one day, I was really hyped on them. I was like, I can't believe I wrote 8 new songs in like an hour and a half. Like this never happens like this. It was so exciting. And then I kind of slacked off on kind of getting to the point of where I'm at now. Like I thought it was going to go faster, but once I kind of got into it and started hearing it come together, it got me motivated to keep working on it. So yeah, it feels good to be done with it, but I'm also really stoked on how it turned out. I can honestly say I don't think I've ever made anything quite like this. And I think in the realm of stupid comedy things I've made, I definitely think this is 100% the best thing I've ever done.
I thought it was magical.
Well, thank you.
And I like that you warn everybody right up front that it's 8 minutes you'll never get back. I believe that is what you said.
Yeah. Well, the one line in the final song is, what is it? 8 minutes stolen from your life, and now you're tasting the pain.
Yes. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. It's like you sat through that shit. Like, and yep, that's what you get.
Oh my God.
And you know what's funny? Honestly, the thing that, and I probably shouldn't say this because then it makes it corny that I did so many takes doing it, but I don't give a fuck. But the intro and the outro are actually the things that took the longest to do vocally. Because I was
totally believe that.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't have any kind of thing scripted or anything. I just started like turn the mic on and just start saying random shit. And sometimes I'd get almost a good take and I'd fuck a word up or say something backwards. And I'd be like, oh, I really liked what I did, but I got to rephrase it this way. So those were the two parts of the release that should probably be the less scripted, and they were the most scripted. So, oh well, whatever.
So I drugged the dog to work today. I don't know if he was stoked about it or not.
Oh, I thought you meant you drugged the dog, but then you said to work. So I thought you
No,
meant
I
you
didn't.
drugged him.
I drugged him to take him to work.
Yeah.
Gave him his Dramamine, and he was all like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then
Why did you? I mean, what was it? Bring your dog to work day? Like, what the fuck?
I felt bad because Amanda wasn't going to be here today.
Okay.
And he always looks so fucking dumpy. Especially when he has to wear his I gotta listen collar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. And I was just like, I'm just gonna take him to work. He wore his I'm gonna listen collar, but he just hung out. But it was interesting. It was definitely a different experience with my dog being there versus Dustin's dog, which didn't make it because of some weird ass reason. Like he was going to a meeting, but it got canceled, so he didn't bring the dog.
Had you taken him to work before?
No.
So first time.
Yeah, so Dustin's dog barks at fucking anything that moves. That could be people, leaves. It doesn't fucking matter.
Wow.
And then Loki was just like, fuck you, I hate this collar.
Yeah.
I don't know why you brought me here. I'm going to fuck with you and I'm going to shit in this plant because that'll be fun for you to clean up.
He shit in a plant?
In a plant. He didn't shit around it or on the shit right in the middle of it. I was like, you cocksucker.
Gotcha.
Put my hand in the bird feces. I was like, this is a fucking morning to remember.
Damn. Nasty.
But that's the highlight of my day.
Wow.
Or 4 hours with tech support.
Oh no.
That was with our other people. But I'm not bitching about that today.
Okay.
I'm coming down off my high horse because everybody has computer problems.
So, I don't want to say this to get you fired up, but last night was the first time I've really worked on the computer for an extensive amount of time doing any graphic related project in a while. And so this probably isn't the best thing to do, but I've just gotten in a habit of doing this because I've been burned on this in the past. And even though I 100% know for a fact that this release will most likely only always be digital, I still, anytime I'm designing any type of an album cover now, I always set it up at 12 inches by 12 inches at 300 DPI.
Look at you, big head thinking.
Yeah, because I'm just like, this will never be on vinyl. I know that. But I actually have been burned in the past designing for like digital only or for a CD cover, and then something came along and got actually put out on 12 inch, and then having to like basically redesign the whole thing because you can't really upscale it super easily.
No, but we can get really dorky at this. Like
It works, but not perfect.
If it's over 100, you have to get up on top of it. If it's under 100 DPI,
yeah,
you can. But honestly, once it starts getting over 150 to the 300, dude, you got to know what you're looking for to fucking find it.
Yeah, and you're 100% right, and I know that, but the problem is I see the fucking blowouts when I upscale stuff, and I don't know. Like I just personally, I know no one will probably ever see it, but I just can't live with it. I just can't do it.
It's just that I've been doing those murals for Banditas, so I know what I can get away with. And I mean, being something tight that you can hold on to and look at. It's a lot different than like a mural on the wall because you've got to be 6 foot back or something to look at it.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, and I forget which printer told me is that he is like, don't ever. And I'm like, dude, I am going to hold you to it because the files are so fucking big. I got to go to whatever the worst is and work backwards.
Yeah.
Like if you're, and honestly, you can get away with 72 at full size, and it's people are hard pressed to find issues in it.
Yeah. Well, you had just kind of mentioned the whole reason I even brought that up is because I was working on that artwork last night, and I ended up getting a fucking scratch disc error. Like my scratch discs were full. So, and that anytime I'm working on 12 by 12 at 300 DPI, I always get like a scratch disc thing.
I am not surprised.
Yeah. So I was like, basically, no shit. I had pretty much completely finished it and was happy with what it looked like. And I moved. So the name logo in the top left corner, I wanted some more of the black clouds behind it because I didn't really want to put any strokes or like drop shadows on that or anything. I just wanted it to be white. So I was like, well, I'm just going to fill in some of these black clouds behind it. So I like duplicated a layer to try to move these clouds around. And it was this, I swear to God, it was like the last move I had to make. I had to like take these clouds, drop them down a little bit, do like a fade eraser on them to like clean them up and like save. And that was it. That was done. And the scratch disc happened on that move. And it like wouldn't let me fucking do anything. So
yeah,
I had to quit out. I wasn't sure when I last saved. So I had to quit out. I had to close Photoshop, to open Photoshop back up. The file opened back up. There's no corruption in it, which thank God. But it still wouldn't let me do anything. So I had only lost like 2 steps. I'm pretty anal about it. Like I fucking Command S like all the fucking time. Like it's like a habit at this point. So I only missed like 2 steps. So I wasn't able to recreate those 2 steps. So what I ended up having to do is I had to go through my entire layers list, and I had to find like all the stuff that I wasn't using. And I knew I wasn't going to need anymore, deleted all that. And then I changed the image size. People were like, this is the boringest fucking story I've ever heard in my life.
I'm going to give you another tip on top of it.
Yeah. So I like downsized the image just so I could see if I could save it again. So I downsized, saved it, undid the image size back up to 12 by 12 by 300. And then I was able to save it then. So for some reason, like downsampling it, saving it, and then undoing that and saving it, like got that glitch out somehow.
Wow.
And then
I'm thinking around that.
And then I closed Photoshop again and I opened it back up. And then I was able to do those couple changes. And I swear after those like 3, I did the 2 things that I lost from the save. I did those and I added the clouds, cleaned them up, hit save. And I tried to do one other thing and the scratch discs were already full again. So like I literally fucking saved it when it was like, basically I can't even do anything to it anymore. It's like, well, I'm done now, I guess.
So what you could do, if you know that you have everything where you want it to be and you're not going to move it around, is you could crop it. And what that does, like just select the whole thing or marquee it, crop it. And what it does is it basically deletes anything on your pasteboard that's outside of what you see. So, when you're dragging a picture around and it's too big, but it just slides off and it goes out into Nowhereville.
Gotcha.
What it does is you can crop it and all that stuff that's out on the pasteboard disappears. So that, because I've done
that's really smart, because that actually probably gives you like about anywhere from 100 to 500 megabytes of free space if you do that.
Because it's like, it's basically, It's only calculating what's there, and it doesn't have to keep in its memory that shit that you have that's 10 inches off to the left of your
Well,
fucking
because
image.
I definitely had that too.
Yeah.
100%. Because like the background image I used was just like this fucking wallpaper. I grabbed like a free wallpaper thing and I just, did the threshold on it to make it like the black and white looking deal. So there was color sections off the pasteboard that were probably like 2100 by like 3600 or something.
Exactly. So even though you're working 12 by 12, if
Yeah.
you blew that bitch up in like the pictures like 36 by 48, it's 36 by 48 out in the nethers.
Yeah, no,
Because
that's a really good tip actually. That actually probably would have saved me. The other thing I thought about doing too, but I've done this before and have been burned, and I was like I'm never doing this again, but I was like, well, I could flatten it and save it flattened, like do a like copy as it being flattened, then open that up, and then I could like tweak it enough to do the things I need to do to finish it. But when I've had full scratch disk before and have flattened PSD file, it's gotten corrupted, and I wasn't even able to open it back up again. And if I was able to open it, and now it's flattened, and I'm fucked. I can't like get back to any of my layers or anything. I'm like, oh, cool. So now I basically have like a gigantic PNG, essentially, is what it is.
well, yeah, so that would help that, or make a copy of it and do that. So you still have your weird. I still make copies of everything.
Yeah,
I mean, I know, like if you go and like do the Adobe fucking seminars and shit, instead of doing like cut and paste, you should mask it, and that way you don't lose whatever you've cut because
Yeah.
you just put a mask around it.
my workflow is horrible too. Like what
Oh,
you
dude.
just said, I'm so bad about duplicating layers to have like a backup layer. Like it's really bad. Like I have definitely invented my own workflow of how to use Photoshop, and it's not very efficient. And there's all kinds of new tools and shit in there to use that I should utilize that would make my workflow more efficient and like saving space. But I'm just like old school. Like I'll make a duplicate of a layer before I even like add a mask on it. Like I'm just like, I don't even want to fucking touch this at all.
I am still in that mindset. Like there are tools that they have that, it's like the smart objects. But smart objects fucking huge. Though the might not increase one thing, like you can combine all your layers into a fucking smart object. So instead of having multiple things, you only have one. But that runs in this whole area of, you still have the giant baseboard. So
Yeah.
no matter what I've done, I'm still accounting, and now I've made a element inside of it. So I've made it larger by still having this same, and by combining all this shit, but I've never gotten rid of anything on the sides, nor have I gotten rid of the layers. So I'm like, no, I can't do that. I mean, I can do it. Like I've seen people use it efficiently, but I think it has a lot to do with what you're doing with the files. Yeah, everybody is like, what the fuck?
I know.
are you guys
I was
rambling
I was
about?
just sitting here thinking like the 5 people that listen to the podcast who also do graphic design are so hyped right now. And then the 150 people who come here for music shit are like, you guys are fucking nerds and shut the fuck up.
Well, come on. This is very This is part of the DIY experience.
Yeah,
Like it blows
is.
my mind
It is.
that the Chlamydians paid somebody to make fucking patches for them.
Right.
I mean, it hurts me to fucking pay somebody to make T-shirts for us. Like,
Yeah.
just because of my mindset's always like, I'm gonna buy a fucking silkscreen kit. I'm gonna knock that motherfucker out myself.
Yeah.
I don't need somebody to do that for me. Like it's so, and like Photoshop was like that and freehand was like a godsend 25 years ago. Because you're like, holy fuck, dude, I can lay this whole bitch out and I don't have to rub off those little fucking letters and try to get that shit straight.
You're like,
handwrite it so prettily.
You're tormented by those fucking letters. That's like the 17th time you've brought it up on the podcast.
That shit is crazy.
So I do want to shift gears a little bit. this is a topic that I probably would like us to revisit at some point in the future. Like maybe we can get some more input from some listeners, or like Fred and Gene can come on and we can delve into this a little deeper. But I don't think we've ever talked about this to any extensive length yet. But if we have, I
But
apologize.
you told us not to, and it still hurts.
What a dick. But I wanted to talk about music samples a little bit. And specifically like movie samples that people put into their albums. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm sure this has happened to you and people who are listening, but you know, you'll listen to a band that you like, or you know, back in the day you might have like first heard a band and there's a sample on there, and it's always really cool if you actually know what the sample is. But then there's the times where, you know, pre-internet, if you'd hear a band with like a cool sample, you might not know what it is, and you're hard pressed to even figure out what it is. So what this just happened to me a couple days ago, and it's so cool when this still happens to this day. Like if you're watching a movie that maybe you haven't seen in a long time or that you've never seen, and all of a sudden one of these samples is unveiled to you, you're like, oh my God, that's the fucking sample from that song that I never knew what it was. So I don't know. It's really cool when that happens. I feel like that's one thing as a musician and just a consumer of music. If you're someone who's in like punk hardcore metal type background, samples are always pretty prevalent in that type of music. So more than mainstream music at all. So I think like for us, that's something that's like a really cool element of watching movies and listening to music that maybe the average mainstream music listener doesn't get to experience, of like having those moments connect of like, oh, that's that sample, or, you know, whatever. So
is it harder now? Before you tell us what it was, is it harder now because you have the evil entities like Google or YouTube, that once you upload that and all of a sudden you see it recognizes that clip.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you get fucking flagged because you don't have the copyrights to it.
Yeah. So I don't know how that works now. So I guess I would say that with physical media, that's the DIY physical media is the way to get around that. Or if you're, you know, listening to stuff you already own, like a vinyl or a CD.
Yeah, I know that the boys, the Clip Idiots, used clips on their last one, and I don't know if they got flagged by Apple or whoever. I haven't asked. But I definitely have like 2 or 3 that like I knew the song, and all of a sudden I was watching something. I'm like, I fucking know this. I know this rant, or I know this this diatribe this guy is going through. Like, so I am interested to hear which one triggered you recently.
Yeah, I just think that's so cool. I don't know. I was so excited when it happened because I feel like that's not something I ever really think about. And then when that happened, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, that's so cool. Like having that experience of that's that fucking sample. Like I've been listening to this record for like 30 fucking years and like I never knew what that was. But the sample that I heard the other day, I rewatched RoboCop for the first time in a long time.
Oh, awesome.
Great movie. Fucking love RoboCop. But there's a sample towards the end when, so like the bad guy gang in the movie, one of the guys, he's talking to the other guy, and they basically, there's a scene where they unveil these giant guns that they stole. So it's like getting towards the end of the movie, and they stole these giant guns, and they're going to try to kill RoboCop with these like giant fuck off guns. So they're like in the street shooting these guns at cars and like into storefronts and stuff, like testing them out. And they're basically like, it's like a grenade rifle. Like they basically shoot and like the cars fucking explode. They're like it's like a tank gun almost. And the one guy fires the gun and he goes, I like it. And I was like, holy fuck.
Shit.
And it's totally that Tesco V's Hey Police fucking sample. I think I forget what song it's the end of. It's like
that's so funny.
Fucking the Dough maybe, or I Club Baby Seals. I forget which one it is, but yeah, he's like, I like it.
And dude, that's funny. I don't think that one ever stuck out.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I know that there was like a Manson one in an Integrity song. And like
Okay.
I guess I'd been listening to Integrity. Well, that wouldn't be true. But I'd never heard this like rant he went on. And then all of a sudden I was watching a documentary and he's sitting there and he starts going off. I'm like, I know that.
Yeah.
I fucking know this rant. I was like, I have totally heard that.
Yeah, that's a good one too. But yeah, it was just funny because it was late at night and I was just sitting there. I was like starting to kind of like nod off, going to sleep, watching RoboCop, and then that sample came on. I like sprung awake. I was like, oh my God, that's that fucking sample. Like that's so fucking cool. I was like it was like 12:30 at night and I was like all hyped. I was like, fuck yeah, that's amazing. And then another cool one though too, this just happened to me yesterday. So it's like a week of finding samples. And I actually knew about this one already, but I forgot about it. So it kind of was also like a similar like surprise reaction, even though I was like, oh, that's right. I forgot that this was from this. But the intro on the Lawnmower Death LP, the first one, with the sample from Animal House.
Oh, which one? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it's like this situation requires a stupid and futile gesture be done on someone's part, and we're just the guys to do it. And then John Belushi's like, let's do it. And then they all start screaming, let's do it. I was like, oh, that's sick. That's that fucking Lawnmower Death sample.
That's funny. I actually love the shit out of those. Like even when they incorporate I guess who does it really well, even though I don't like them. Ministry.
Okay.
You know, they do a lot of good samples. Like I would like to know how fucking people like Gene and I know Gene used to fucking just grab shit. Like he's definitely a good one that we should have this conversation with.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's the king of these because like on all the Vomit Snack stuff, like we had like a sample on almost every song and he found all that shit. So I know that he's just like listening to this right now, like drooling about all the ones he knows that he wants to tell us about. And I welcome that.
It was funny is what was it on the Ringworm Hammer the Witch that I recommend Amputation. Like I was like, I knew the clip and it sounded familiar. And I was watching the second Hellraiser. I'm like, found it. I was all
Nice.
happy. I'm like, found it.
Yeah, those cool obscure ones, those are really good. And I know like
Like Prepare to Meet Your Doom
yeah.
from
Yeah,
the Ass Fuck Twins. Orgasmo has so many great fucking lines in it.
It's just like that whole fucking movie is just so quotable for band samples. It's insane. I'm surprised we never used more from that movie, honestly.
Well, do you remember how much of a hassle we had? I think we spent the good part of Sunday morning that we were recording
Yeah.
that CD trying to get just that fucking simple sample, which should have been easy, but for some reason we could not get it in the computer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember we talked about that before. I just well, it was before like that shit was easy to do.
Well, and now it's me yelling at Frank, is that why am I paying for you to learn how to use your fucking software?
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy to think about, man. That was like right. I mean, the rig that he had to record us with, that was some very cutting edge shit for the year we recorded that stuff because that no one was doing like computer recording like that yet at all. Like not in like big studios. I mean, that he's definitely the first person I ever was around or knew that was like stepping into that realm of like digital recording. Like,
yeah, well,
that was huge.
at the end of the day, it was like, you know, you had all of us cheap bastards that didn't want to pay to go to a studio.
Yeah.
And then, it wasn't like he rolled right in and you started recording. Like there was a setup that was involved.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Do you have any other samples that you can think of that are like really good ones that stood out to you?
Oh my God, fucking sheer terror using the Blue Velvet ones. Oh my God, it's from the second album, and they use a bunch of Blue Velvet ones, and I can't think of it. It's with
Gotcha.
Dennis Hopper when he's fucking getting off of the nitrous. He's fucking wearing his mask, and he's gone
Okay.
through all these fucking rants, and sheer terror used them, and they are fucking phenomenal.
No, I know what you're talking about, but I haven't heard that in so long. I'm having trouble thinking of those samples.
I think a lot of it. I think there's an issue with rights and stuff, and I think it keeps a lot of people away. I think there's a reason like mainstream bands don't do it.
Yeah,
because they are. But I guess Ministry jumps through whatever hoops they need to.
yeah, and maybe he knows like the legal side of what needs to be tweaked to make the sample not, throw up a flag or whatever.
And I actually Pitch Shifter, like that, was it first or second album where they used all the fucking samples.
Mm.
And I actually that album has come back into it, and it's not shit. They have a serial killer in there, but he's like one of the really fucking. He's the weird one that didn't die right away. Like they featured him on Mindhunter, but I can't think of which one he is. Dennis somebody, but I think he was the one that had the fucking corpse in the back of his car and got pulled over police, and they let him go.
Jesus. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that person at all.
Oh yeah, they're all pretty much fucking scumbags. Though they interest me.
I forgot completely about that band Pitch Shifter.
Well, they went on this like super alternative run after they did their industrial like first two albums. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Then they went and they kind of just went in a completely different direction, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty certain because I was like, yeah, that's not what I remember. Like they were like the Godfleshy and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I remember them being.
And I think their later stuff, they went and they became pretty much an alternative band, and just.
Huh. Well, so last week we had kind of talked about the Melvins a little bit again, and just talking about Dale being the best drummer ever and stuff. And coincidentally, like 2 days after we did that episode, this Melvins documentary came up on my Amazon Prime. And
what?
It's called it's actually right now, I think it's on that channel or that streaming service called Freevee.
Oh, those cunts.
But
yes,
but Amazon allows you to watch Freevee things for. I don't understand how that shit works.
Well, it's Freevee is Amazon, but it's their material, but they fucking put commercials in it.
Oh yeah,
and it's not part of Prime.
Totally. So so it's basically a Freevee thing, but the documentary is called, I think it's Colossus of Destiny. Like
I'm writing that one down.
Yeah, Melvin's Tale or some shit like that. But it's really fucking cool. And if you're a fan of the Melvins or even just a fan of cool music documentaries, it's done really well. It's sort of a little, it's kind of budgety. Like the editing gets a little weird at times, but the information is really cool. It's like a very cool chronicling of their inception to basically 2019 or 20 is when it came out. So it's basically like almost 40 years of why they did the things they did, and like member changes and like behind the scenes stuff, and they like interview a bunch of the old members. But yeah, it's really, really cool. So I highly recommend that, Melvin's fan or not. Just if you like music
Yeah,
documentaries about bands.
Gene.
But those dudes, man, they're one of my favorite bands anyway. But after watching that, I had even a bigger level of respect for them. They just speak with such reverence of their own music, and they like believe in what they're doing so much, and they just like every move they made has always been rooted in like, we don't give a fuck if this gets popular or not. This is the album we want to make, and if someone likes it, cool, but we just have to make what we want to make. And like, really, all the success and that they've had and everything, it's like, it really doesn't seem like they give a fuck. And I don't know, it's just like really refreshing just to see musicians who are definitely from like a DIY background, who became huge, but they like don't fucking care, and they're like, we're going to be doing what we're doing no matter what the fuck is going on. and they talk, one thing that was really interesting is they go back into talking, or they talk about something that we've brought up many times, is kind of like the correlation of digital versus physical media, and like what has streaming done to, affect that and whatnot. And they go into a lot of stuff talking about that, how like what they've done as a band to navigate the waters of digital versus physical media, and basically how they've been able to combat that to their advantage. And digital's great, but like they've like gone back to like smaller DIY shorter runs of releases, like working with smaller labels, like making things more boutique and exclusive versus like mass produced physical media. So yeah, I don't know, just like Buzz is just he's like fanatical in how he thinks about the band. It's like he lives and breathes that band more than anybody I think I've ever seen. It's like every moment they're filming him driving around in his car, and he's just talking about stuff, and you can just see, like, even the way he speaks like someone who he's just consumed constantly with thinking about what to do next with that band. And it's just crazy. I'm like, wow, like it's just such a cool thing to see someone, because like I feel like I can relate to him in a lot of ways, of just like being so passionate about your hobby and what you do that it's just all consuming, and you're like always thinking about it. But like he just takes it to this like psycho level of beyond even like anything I could even comprehend, as much as like I'm always kind of fucking around with stuff and making projects and shit. Like he's on this whole other level of like, it's no wonder they're so fucking successful. So it's like, if you have the drive like they do, like there's no other choice but for you to become fucking famous. Like they just shove themselves down people's throats constantly.
I can't argue that. I mean, they've always been a constant. Whether people liked them or not, they were always fucking there. So, I mean, is that part of the longevity? You've been around so long that you earn that respect, but they've always been more like, and I hate saying this, but like, they're like a band's band.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in a band, you end up liking that, like them. Where like I had friends that like could never understand it, and they're like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "Never heard of them." Like, dude, and I was like, look at your fucking band's liner notes. It's like all that shit you're listening to. See if the Melvins are mentioned in the thank yous, and
Yeah,
because it was right in the grunge period, and everybody's going on about all this shit, and I'm like, fucking Melvins.
like everybody that they interview kind of says the same thing. Like, basically, if you listen to this type of music, or if you're in a band that's this style of music, like you don't even have to tell us. We already know that you love the Melvins. Like we know that you like them just by how you sound. Like, and they interviewed like bass player from Nirvana. They interviewed Chris Cornell. He actually jocked them probably more than like anybody. He was like, he couldn't say enough good things about them. He was like, basically like that band was like everything to us back then. He was like, no one sounded like them. He's like, I remember this one specific show in the early days where we were all watching them and there was like 40 people at the show and we were all up front just mesmerized by them. And he said after about the fourth song, we turned around and like 25 people had left. And he was like, we knew at that moment that we were watching something great and something that wasn't yet understood, basically. And that we knew then that like this was going to be huge. And he's like, and people just didn't even understand it yet because it was just so groundbreaking. So yeah, anyway, watch the documentary. It's really cool. You'll learn a lot of cool information about them and just bands affiliated with them. And yeah, just their work ethic it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fucking watch it.
I actually want to go back to sort of like movie/samples. This is kind of not completely in line with that topic, but what is a movie that is like a very, very popular movie, but you maybe have yet to see or have just recently seen it? Is there any like classic movie that you just have recently seen and you're like, oh my God, I wish I would have seen this 30 years ago?
Oh, that's a lot harder. I have started watching when I get time, like by myself. I watch either like old fucking horror movies. If it's just Blythe and I, we go through and either watch Old Hammer or just stuff that I totally didn't get into or never like old. She's got like, oh my God, it's like a box of like 40 like pre 1950s movies or something.
Okay.
So we watch like a lot of old horror. But like with all the streaming, like all I watch is old movies. I'm trying to think of one that we've watched recently that was like new to me. Like we're in the middle of It's a Mad, Mad World.
Okay. So yeah, like stuff in those lines. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't something clicked and I don't know what it is. That I've went back and just kind of regressed movie wise. Like I haven't been following any of the fucking Star Wars stuff or any of the fucking Marvel stuff. It's just like it's just been too much. It's like overwhelmed with it, and I don't know if the quality is always there. Like I want to go back and watch like Hitchcock films and shit like that I've skipped or watched as a kid.
Yeah.
And fucking put blinders on because I was just like, I don't know why Jim's watching this. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's partly why I brought this up. I have just in the last couple weeks seen two movies that I guess are pretty much considered classics that I've never seen or have never seen the whole way through. I've only ever seen bits and pieces. And when Mom and I did our road trip, I asked her, I was like, do you want me to load some movies onto my phone just so in the evenings, for just fucking bored sitting around, like we can have some movies to watch or something? She's like, yeah, that's cool. And she's like, just pick some stuff out that you've never seen. Like, let's watch movies that we both haven't seen. So I told her what I was picking out. She's like, yeah, that's cool. Never seen it. So you mentioned Hitchcock. Well, I love horror movies, but I have never seen Psycho. And
oh, really?
I knew the premise of it and I knew the spoiler of the movie, but I had never seen it. So I was like, that's a movie I want to see. So I loaded that on the phone and we watched Psycho one night and it was cool. Like I said, I think it would have been cooler if I didn't really know what it was about and how it ended. But so that was cool to finally see that. And then the one that you'll probably be really shocked by, and this is a movie that just growing up wasn't in my wheelhouse of stuff I knew to watch. I knew it existed, but just wasn't really on the radar. And I've seen pieces of it here and there over the years. But I finally saw Conan the Barbarian the whole way through. I've never seen that movie from start to finish, and I finally did.
Look, I'm trying to formulate words. That
Yeah.
is fucking soul crushing.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Because like that's such a like movie that I feel like is in the realm of things that I should have seen, but I haven't seen it.
I think the only format I did not own that movie on was fucking Beta.
Okay.
Like Laserdisc, DVD. I just bought the digital because they were fucking like it would come and go, and I was like that is one of my fucking favorite movies. That's definitely top 5. And besides that fucking snake scene, the rest of it is still tight.
Yeah. No, it's an awesome movie. Like I said, I knew sort of the premise of the movie, but honestly, I didn't even know the whole so the parts that I had seen over the years were maybe from like the 3/4 point to almost the end, or maybe sort of a little bit. There was at one point in my life, I saw part of the scene where he goes into the cave where he gets the sword.
Mm-hmm.
I had seen parts of that. So I'd seen these like random parts throughout the movie, but I had no idea about like the origin of like the beginning where he's the kid in the village and the marauders come in and like decimate the village, kill his family. So like I didn't know any of like and him being captured as a slave. So I didn't know any of that backstory at all.
So the next time you're back, we have to watch it with the fucking director's commentary.
Okay.
Because it's Schwarzenegger and John, I want to say Malkus or something like that. But him and the director going through, and they're fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like the information and just like, I love director commentaries as it is, but that in it is a very good one.
Well, so speaking of that movie, perfect lead in. There's a show.
Before you start going,
Yeah.
the soundtrack's fucking phenomenal too.
Yeah, well,
fucking phenomenal. All right, now you can go.
No, that's a good point. Actually, I wouldn't even have thought to bring that up, but yeah, the soundtrack to that is really amazing. But there's a 3-part documentary on Netflix right now about Arnold Schwarzenegger and talking about like his upbringing in Austria and like moving to the US, bodybuilding, acting, like becoming the governor. It's a really, really cool. So that'll be my second recommendation for TV shows is the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing on Netflix. It's really cool. He's actually like a really cool dude. He's sort of like the human equivalent of the Melvins as far as like their like motivation level, and just basically we're gonna keep chopping at this until we can't chop anymore, basically. Like he's like that. Everything he's gotten, he worked really hard for, and he talks about visualization a lot and about how like his whole life he's been able to visualize his goals in front of him and able to like actualize them, like probably more than the average person. He just kind of has like this crazy desire to just like fulfill everything he thinks he should be fulfilling in life. I don't know. It's like, it's actually very motivating documentary. And just to listen to him talk and just all the people that told him no, like, no, you can't do this, and like you're never going to be able to do this. Like he always saw someone telling him no as an opportunity instead of a setback. Like, okay,
Right.
well, you're telling me no, like why are you telling me no? And I'm gonna make it better so you don't tell me no next time. And I don't, so yeah, just like, and I feel like he's just one of those people that innately has that inside him. It's nothing maybe he necessarily learned. It's like it seems like he was like that from the time he was a little kid.
Right.
Like his parents were pretty strict. And I think he had an older brother, and he was always trying to sort of like impress his parents over his older brother. His older brother kind of got like all the praise for stuff, and he was always kind of like left behind a little bit. So I think that
Left behind.
yeah, totally made him.
Behind. Oh, I'm doing my Happy Flowers throwback for you.
Nice. So yeah, anyway, check that out. But they talk about Conan in there a good bit. And so the guy, was it Dino De Laurentiis, the guy who did
he was the
Conan?
producer.
So he went to meet with him, and he like said some shit to the guy, like he was pretty much like, so I guess the dude's a little guy, and he was sitting behind this big desk, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was like, I went in to meet with him, and he said he stood up and he came over to shake my hand, and he was like, the first thing he said to him was something like, well, you're such like a little guy, why do you need such a big desk? And the guy like immediately was like, fuck you, and like kicked him out, and was pretty much like, there's no way that this guy's going to be in my movie. And anyway, so like some shit happened, and he ended up being in it. But he talks a lot about him getting that role, and
he didn't speak English at the time, did he?
So he did, but it was like he had to go to like a speech like basically, if you love Conan, you definitely need to watch this documentary, because there's a large portion where he talks about getting that role and like everything he had to do to get that role. And it was a lot, dude. He had to do like sword training, horseback riding training.
Well, he
like,
got fucked up on it, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he did all his own stunts, because they're like, if you're going to do this movie, you need to understand you're going to be doing your own stunts, because you're so fucking huge. We can't find anybody to match you as a stunt double.
Yeah, like I think he fell off the rocks, and the fucking dogs actually got him at the end of the movie.
They show that clip actually.
Yeah.
And there's like the part where he rolls into that cave where he gets the sword, that was all him. So yeah, he was basically, I got fucked up on that movie because like no one could do my stunts.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Imagine that. Imagine being so fucking huge they can't find a fucking stunt man for you. That's crazy.
I live it every day, bro. Live it every fucking day.
Yeah.
What other movies did you take with you? I'm interested on these old throwbacks.
Well, so another one I took, but we didn't get to watch, was The Birds. So sticking with the Hitchcock theme. So I still need to watch that. And another movie I put on there that I had never seen before, which I definitely was curious to see, is Born on the 4th of July.
I haven't watched that either.
Yeah. So I'm not the biggest Tom Cruise fan, but I heard that movie's really good. So I wanted to check that out.
So back when I started working from home, I would watch, before we had an office set up, I would watch movies during the day while I was working. But old movies, because they don't move as fast.
Yeah.
And it's easier. I can keep up. I don't need to, it's not like they're trying to shove everything down your throat the whole time. But I fell in love with All the President's Men. Like, that was a movie I'd never seen before. I remember being at the fucking video store and like all these old people going, "This is awesome," and talking about it. I'm like, I don't fucking understand what you're talking about.
I've heard of this movie, but I know nothing.
So it's basically the Watergate scandal, and they are the two Washington Post columnists or reporters that bust the story open for Watergate. But it is so fucking good. But I mean, you got to be in old movies. If you're not in old movies, it's not.
Like how old? Like what year is
this?
It?
Is I think All the President's Men is like, I want to say 76.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like it's like a very, very, very young Dustin Hoffman and a young, is that Paul Newman? I think I got that. I think those are the two.
Well, it's funny because Arnold Schwarzenegger he talks
Robert
about.
Redford.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, he said that one of the reasons he was having such trouble getting cast in movies in the 70s was he was like, I was way too big. He was like, in the 70s, all the producers wanted tiny people. He's like, they wanted like Dustin Hoffman's, like Robert De Niro's, Al Pacino. They were like all these like really tiny guys. He's like, so they're like, we can't have like a 260-pound leading man. Like, it's not going to work. So basically, like, Conan kind of started a genre of like big dude, like leading man movies.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't argue with that. Yeah, I'm thinking about it as I totally can't argue with that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, older. I'm kind of on the fence with older movies. Like, I'll give them a shot, but they have to be really intriguing and really well done for me to get into them. Like, just some of the old movies, because my grandmother's like, check this movie out, like you'll really like it. And my grandmother actually likes pretty cool movies, so I'll sometimes like go off of recommendations she gives me for shit that she grew up watching. And sometimes they're pretty cool, and then other times I'm just like, I just can't. Like, I'll be like 10 minutes in and I'll turn it off, and like the acting is just so bad, and it almost, it's not even like relatable, like kind of like those older movies where it's like, hey, see, like, hey there, copper, see, like, I can't go that far back. It's just, it's too cringy.
Oh, we actually last night we had a little bit of time to kill, Blythe and I, so we watched the first 3 Doctor Who episodes, and it was cringy.
Yeah.
I was like, the Doctor's an asshole. How the hell? But it's definitely, Blythe's like, what's wrong with all the women? Because they were all like these frail.
Yeah.
Like, and she's like, what's going on? I'm like, I was like, think of what time it is. I think it was like, is it 63 or something? It was like,
yeah.
Look at the time period. A lot of shit hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, a lot of shit hadn't happened, and I don't know, like a lot of those old movies had good stories, but it's just too slow. Like, I don't know, like I'm kind of like you. I feel like I'm at a point where I'm going to go back and watch some of the 1950s and 60s kind of classic movies.
North by Northwest.
Yeah.
That is an awesome fucking Hitchcock movie.
Okay.
I watched that one at the video store and bought the fucking movie the next day.
Wow.
Like, I was like, gotta keep it. Like,
That's
it was
cool.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to give all those kinds of movies a chance, but there's no guarantee I'm going to make it through them though.
Or you run into like Kubrick, where the first half of the movie is super fast, great pace, and the last half is fucking painful. There's like 3 or 4 of his movies it's that way.
Really? Wow. Which movies do you think are painful?
After like the first half an hour, 45 minutes, you're like, what the fuck? It's like, come on, dude. It like shifts gears in a not best way. And Full Metal Jacket, dude, that movie fucking rules up until they go into the field in Vietnam. Like, they're like 2 different movies.
That's kind of like how all his movies are.
Yeah, and yeah. Well, I know.
But I kind of love that about his movies. Like,
do you?
Yeah.
That makes you cool.
I don't know if it makes me cool, but he's like the one person that I do sort of like the pacing of how he does stuff. Well, like, I just picked up a copy of Doctor Strangelove on DVD for like $3 unopened.
Oh, really? That movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Have you watched the original MASH?
I've not.
That is very good as well.
Okay. I watched the TV show as a little kid, but never saw the movie.
No, the movie's actually good.
Yeah, it's funny. Doctor Strangelove is kind of the start of when I like Kubrick's movies. I don't necessarily like anything before that. I've seen all his movies,
I don't
And
think I've seen Lolita. I can't even say it.
Lolita.
I don't
Yeah.
think. Well, did he do Vanilla Sky? Is that the one? What's the Tom?
Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That one's okay. I don't
I
love
didn't
that
watch
movie.
that one.
I like Doctor Strangelove up till Full Metal Jacket. That's pretty much like the era that I really like. I've never actually that's not true. I've never seen what's the Charlton Heston movie he did?
I'm looking at his filmology as we speak.
That's the only one of his I haven't seen. Can't think of what it is.
I can't either.
It's like
Look at everybody. We're gonna get hit. Space Odyssey was good.
That's my favorite movie of all time.
Is it?
Yeah.
Eyes Wide Shut. Oh wait, how do we get out as a writer? Let's get out of the writer stuff. As a director, Eyes Wide Shut, Full Metal Jacket, The Shining, Barry Lyndon. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, I love Barry Lyndon.
I don't think I've ever seen Barry Lyndon.
I fucking love Barry Lyndon. That's really good.
Orange. Oh, Spartacus.
Oh, Spartacus. Yeah, I've never seen Spartacus. That's the only one of his movies I've never seen.
Oh, I think that was good. Yeah, now I feel like I need to go back and watch some of this shit.
So a cool fact about Barry Lyndon. Barry Lyndon was the first, I'm pretty sure about this. I think it was the first movie ever filmed without artificial lighting. Like everything in that movie was filmed either outside with natural sunlight or filmed inside by candlelight or sun coming through the windows. There's like that was one of his goals with that movie, is to make it as authentic as possible, is to not use like Hollywood lighting. So that's a pretty epic feat. And when you watch that movie, you can really tell that too. It like the cinematography of that movie is incredible. Like it actually, like the scenes in the movie actually look like paintings. He does all these like long panning shots and like pullback shots and stuff of like certain scenes in the movie, and they like the whole thing was to make them look like paintings.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was just reading. I might have to watch it.
It was on one of the streaming services not too long ago. I'm not sure if it's still on there or not, but yeah, 2001 Space Odyssey is definitely my favorite movie of all time. Love that.
Yours is 2001 and mine's Conan. Nice.
Yeah. Conan is definitely awesome. I'm glad I finally saw it, and
I think Blakey Lawless has a fucking Conan tattoo.
Does he?
Yeah, the fucking snakes. Dickhead.
That's funny.
I want one too. 2 snakes like this.
So I can't remember what it's from, but I'm pretty sure that the speech he gives on the throne is going back to full circle with the sampling. I think that speech he gives is on a record with the lamentation of the women thing.
Yes. And I'm trying to think. And actually now they've changed it. Like the version you watched, I think they've changed the wording. I want to go back to my original DVD and watch it. Yeah, because I think they dumped the rape. I swear to God, it said the rape and lamentation of the women instead of just a lamentation of the women.
Interesting.
I think they dumped that. But with that being said, I was talking to Blake, and they did one, I guess, in the last what band was he in? Big Destroyer album. They used the clip, but they ended up, the producer who was doing the record just read it because they could get rights for it in the US, but they couldn't get the rights in the UK or not in Europe. So they ended up just using the quote with the producer reading it.
Oh, weird. So just the fact that it was someone else reading it, like...
Yeah, well, I think it's James Earl Jones. And yeah, just the fact that he was reading it. Yeah. They'll learn. I think that it was they'll learn why they fear the night and whatever. Like his speech he was given.
Yeah,
To
I'm
his
pretty sure
baddies.
that that's on something else too, though. Because
I
I
believe
feel
you.
like I remember hearing that on something like some metal record or some shit.
Because you know why? Fucking Conan's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Like I said, I'm glad I finally got to see that from start to finish, and it's definitely a movie I will add to my little knapsack of movies to check out from time to time. And Conan the Destroyer is on Netflix right now as well. So is that something to check out or no?
I slowly shake my head.
Slowly shake your head. It's kind of like how awesome the first RoboCop is and how bad the second one is.
Yeah, because Paul Vanderhoeven made a movie that wasn't made for kids, and all of a sudden RoboCop was popular with kids. So part 2 is not as cool.
Yeah.
And the same with Conan. But I remember going to fucking see it in a fucking theater as a youth. So what would I have been, 6 or 7?
Wow.
And my uncle snuck me in with him so I could watch it.
That's cool.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, see, you had the little kid experience of the movie where it was formative to your mind, you know, like being like
Oh my god.
no, but seriously, being 6 years old and seeing that movie though, I can totally understand why you're such a big fan of that movie, because if I would have seen that at 6, I would have probably been fucking super into that movie too.
So with all this great movie talk, we both know that we're nerds for certain things. Are you going to watch the fucking Indiana Jones movie?
So I'll probably watch it just because I've seen all the rest of them. Am I hopeful it's going to be good? No. Do I think it's going to suck? Yes. Is that the fucking stupidest name for a movie ever? Yes. That being said, I'll probably watch it. I thought that fucking movie, the Crystal Skull one or whatever the fuck from like the last one they did, that was such a bucket of shit movie. I fucking hated that. So this
Gavin
one
and I both agree that is now become a guilty pleasure movie.
really, I don't know. Maybe I need to rewatch it. But when I first saw it, I was like, this movie fucking sucks dick, and I never want to see this again.
Totally agree. But I am such a non-fan of the fucking second one that I like number 2, Temple of Doom, is below Crystal Skull still. Like
Wow.
I dislike that movie so much.
Okay, so I don't love the Temple of Doom, but it's okay. Obviously the first one's the best one. The Last Crusade is second for me.
True.
Then I would say Temple of Doom, only because I need to rewatch Crystal Skull. Maybe I'll agree with you after I rewatch it.
It's a wait. Well, let's understand it for all you people yelling at me right now. Yes, it's a turdola. We know it. It's a fucking turd movie. But if you get past the fact that it is supposed to be something serious, and they end up doing aliens and weird shit like that, it works. And actually, up until the very end, it works, and then it falls apart. But
I mean, whatever. I don't want to get into a fucking discussion about the Temple of Doom, but there's definitely parts of that movie that could have been removed and would have made it way better. But I think the overall premise wasn't bad, and I think like the scene where he's trapped in between the two rooms and the door's closing and he has to get out and he reaches back in, snags his hat. That's like a really cool scene. That's like pretty action packed. And the whole set with the creepy, whatever
priest
dudes underground, like ripping the heart out and the fucking thing that lowers to burn the people in the cage. Like, I don't know, like as a kid, all that shit I thought was pretty cool. But even as a little kid, I still did have a feeling of like knowing it was cheesy, even though I still liked it. But I love Last Crusade though. I thought that movie was actually, and honestly, that movie might be the cheesiest plot line of all the movies, but for some reason, I just still like that one.
I agree. And I worked with people at the video store. They fucking they're willing to go outside and fight you, saying that one was so much worse. That was the worst one of the three. I'm like, you are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
That was as far as the argument would go.
I mean,
I guess Temple Doom was always, I guess, knowing that there was something that didn't appeal to me, then listening later to like all the documentaries and stuff, and knowing that half the stuff was shit that they couldn't get in to the first movie, so they just fucking formatted it all for the second movie. That kind of shows. It's like, yeah, I'll buy that. Like that makes more sense on why it just doesn't feel. I mean, like the fucking opening sequence, that's fucking awesome. I don't like her. Like I didn't like her as.
So, another Animal House reference. So, Karen Allen, who is Marion from the first one, is also in Animal House as the one guy's love interest.
Yeah, she was the 14-year-old or 15-year-old cashier, was she not? No.
No, that's the blonde.
She's the dude that was fucking Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
So there's another movie though, if we're gonna stay on movies for a little bit, there's a new movie that just came out. I saw the trailer for this a few months ago and was like, oh my God, this looks like the best fucking movie ever made. And it's actually available now to rent, like at home rental or whatever, but they want like $20 to rent that shit. And I'm just like, I'm going to wait a few weeks. Maybe it'll be somewhere for free. But it's this movie called Sisu. Have you seen the previews for this?
No.
So it's like very, based on how the trailer looks, it's very Tarantino looking. But it's about this, I think he's like a Norwegian guy who it's supposed to be like during the end of the occupation of World War II. And he's like out in this mountainous area, mining for gold by himself. And this like Nazi patrol comes up on him and like captures him. And it turns out that he's like actually this, he was like some like secret military dude during the war. And it's basically like he's like a Norwegian Rambo kind of guy or some shit. And just basically he gets captured by these Nazis. And the whole movie is just him going on this like murderous rampage.
Oh, that sounds good. I won't be able to watch it with Amanda, but it sounds good.
Yeah, it like honestly, you should definitely watch the trailer. It looks fucking badass. Like like the killing scenes and stuff looks so crazy. Like it's just so much blood and like body explosions and
yeah, that's not an Amanda movie.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like a full on like dude action flick, but
nice.
It definitely looks really cool. But well, shit. We fucking went on all kinds of tangents today.
Yeah, we did. I don't know if we went real far off because you brought up movie clips and we started talking movies. And Animal House is a fantastic fucking movie. Let's just get that out there.
Yeah, there's so much funny shit in that. I definitely rank that up there. Maybe not as good, but it's definitely in the same realm as
Zora the Gay Blade.
No, I was gonna say Caddyshack, but
yeah. Oh, I love fucking Caddyshack. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I might love Zora the Gay Blade a little bit more. But
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Motherfucker, magic.
Yeah.
Due to the titling of the movie, it's a little bit harder to find.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But that could be another one. You and I can go get smoked up and we'll watch fucking Zora the Gay Blade. Oh my God! All right, before we hang up, did you see? I think I added it to my story, but when Blythe and I went to see Bridge City, there was somebody taking pictures the opposite way, like facing towards us.
Okay.
And their mandolinist jumped from like this fucking speaker cabinet
Okay.
It was like super high in the fucking air.
Mhm.
And like the singer's looking up and her mouth's open. And in the crowd, Blythe's mouth's like, oh! And somebody picked it out of their photos. Was like,
That's cool.
it was just fucking random because it showed up on their feed. And it had an arrow pointing, like, was like an animated arrow pointing at her head. Like, it's like bing, bing, bing. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh my God, that's Blythe.
That's funny.
And it was her fucking blown away by the big air, by the mandolin player.
Nice. Well, I have I'm playing a show. I'm playing a one-man band show on Saturday.
I saw it on the Instas.
Yeah, so I've been kind of like getting ready for that. That's what I'm actually going to do tonight. I have to rehearse my set a little bit. I got about 22 minutes of fury.
I was getting ready to ask you, are you limited in your set, or will you be able to rock all night if you want?
No, it's definitely a limited thing. So there's actually 5 bands, which is kind of a lot, but so I have to open, and I'm playing I get like a half hour, but I'm not even
Fuck
gonna
that.
play.
Do they know who you are?
I'm the guy who nobody knows about, who hasn't played a local show in 3 years, so that's why I'm opening.
All right. Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But it's cool. I'm actually I'm incorporating some new elements into my set, which I haven't done before. So I kind of have a new way of doing what I do. Where before I was just kind of using my backing tracks, and now I'm actually utilizing my suitcase drum as I'm playing along with my backing tracks. So it's kind of like
that sounds
a little bit
very
more
convoluted.
Yeah, it's cool. I'll take a picture and send it to you so you can see like my whole new setup. But I have like this cool little box that my amp sits on, and I rigged up like this little makeshift mic stand that comes out of it. So like my mics, because that's the problem I have with doing this one man band thing, is like where all my pedals sit and stuff. It's hard to put a standard mic stand anywhere where it's like not in the way.
Right.
So I had to come up with a way to like rig up a mic stand that it's sort of not on the ground, so the tripod isn't like in the way of cords and pedals and shit. So yeah. So anyway, it worked out pretty cool, and
I want to see this.
Gives a new little visual to the live experience. Since I'm just one person, you kind of see me get to like work my feet and stuff too.
Nice. I think you need a bubble machine, and Space Wax needs to set up like fucking Night Ranger.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
They fucking Night Ranger's drummer played out to the side because he was singing and he didn't want to be in the back. Being fucking front man in the back of the fucking van. So he played to the side.
We've talked about joking at practice. We've talked about shit like this before, about having Scooter like way up front and like having us behind him. Like, and he's just like, no, that's never happening. Like, he hates being the center of attention anyway, but
nice.
So yeah, there's no way he's ever
gonna like you could put him out to the fucking left side and face the kit towards you guys, and that way it's all open so he could be singing and playing away.
I mean, I think it'd be cool. I don't think he'd do it though. He wouldn't be down for that. Anything that's going to make him like closer to the front where it makes him seem like he's more important, he's not going to want to do that.
Nice.
But speaking of doing new stage things really quick, we went to a show a couple nights ago. Is this band, I knew like one song of theirs, and I was like, oh, they sound pretty cool, and they were playing near our house, so we went to check them out. This band called Ghostland Observatory, and they're like this 2-piece sort of like electronic dance music kind of a band, but they sort of have like a punk rock edge to them a little bit. So it's like this dude who sings and plays guitar, and then there's a guy in the back that dresses like a magician and like runs like all the keyboards and synths and shit. But anyway, the point of this band is that they had like the coolest light show of any band I've seen in a long time. And I was like doing like that typical musician thing, you know, you go to see a band and like the guitar player has a cool sound. You're trying to see their pedal board or like look at their amps and shit. I was trying to identify what kind of lights they use, and I could not figure out what they were using, but they had like the sickest laser beams and shit.
Did you post that somewhere?
I did not.
Then I just saw something about them. That's why I went to my phone. It must have been in my Instagram feed or something. But that name, I was like, it was bizarre, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're really cool, man. Like I would check them out again. I had a lot of fun at that show, and I think they're like kind of semi-famous right now, but I think they're about 6 months to a year away, I think, from being like really fucking huge. They're kind of like in that realm of they're playing the 300 person clubs right now, but they're going to be like a Coachella band in like a year or two.
Nice.
Yeah, they just have that sound, you know. It's just they're on that trajectory. They're going to be fucking huge. So yeah, anyway, check that band out if you haven't.
I will. No, I saw it in my feed or something. That's weird that you brought it up.
Yeah. All right, well, shit. Are we going to wrap this up?
Fuck yeah, let's wrap this shit up, yo.
Cool. All right, well, thanks for listening to our fucking ramblings today. Went on a little longer than I was expecting, but whatever. See you next time on episode 52, bitches.
Woo! Adios, fuckers.
Later.
This podcast was brought to you by Potty Mouth Records. Contact us at pottymouthrecords@gmail.com and find us on the web at pottymouthrecords.rocks. That's .rocks.
That was way better than I expected.